What's going on, guys? It's been a week or two since I did an update on the R&R Coconut IPA. The original brew day on this was 9/19/2013, so it's been well over a month since I've brewed this. It's now November 4th, so that was in September 19th. I kegged the Saccharomyces version. I did a double dry hopping, so I did 2 ounces, waited 3 days, did the other 2 ounces, and waited another 3 or 4 days. And so I kegged that on October 26th, which was 8 or 9 days ago. And so it's just been sitting on gas, and I think it's pretty well carbonated. I've been trying not to drink it because I know I'm going to send some bottles out, but I have not kegged the Brett version yet. I'm going to go through my notes here. On October 16th, so that would have been almost a full month after brew day and pitching the Brettanomyces. The Saccharomyces version finished out pretty normal, as a normal IPA would. About 10 days it was done fermenting. The Brett version, which I did do a pretty healthy starter on 10/16, again, it's just over a month of fermentating. It was at 1.016 and still showing some signs of fermentation, not much. I was a little concerned about the 10/16. That's still pretty high for a yeast. I know that I said this before, but Brettanomyces, this is my first Brett beer, so I'm just regurgitating what I've read from reliable sources, but Brettanomyces should act very similar to a regular yeast, just slower, and that did turn out to be the case. So on October 16th, it was at 10/16. I took a gravity reading 10 days later, so 10/26, it was down to 10/12, which is a pretty good finishing gravity. For that's a pretty good average for like an IPA. It's pretty dry. And so I didn't know if it was done then. I went hunting. I didn't shoot anything. So I was kind of out of town a little bit then. But I took a gravity reading again today. So that's about 10 days later. Or 9 days later, I should say. 8 or 9. And so today is November 4th, and it is down to, or it is still at 10/12. So no gravity change at after 10 days. And I started dry hopping the first 2 ounces in this one. One thing I didn't do, which the recipe did call for, and it was 50% laziness, 50% kind of forgot, was to do a kegged, I'm kegging this beer, and to put like a dry hopped, to put the coconut in the keg, like in a bag, and let it sit in there for 10 days or so. I didn't end up doing that. All my tastings of the normal Saccharomyces, I had a lot of coconut on the taste and the smell. And I like coconut, but I'm not a huge fan of coconut. So I decided not to do the kegged coconut edition. Looking back, if you like coconut, I would definitely go for that. If I had to brew it again, I would probably do that. But I didn't, and yeah, so that's that. So the Brett version did finish out, but it did take the Brett version. Let's see, I brewed at 10/19. It took it over a month. Yeah, I'd say it took it 40 days just to be safe. It's been in there for a little bit longer. I just wanted to make sure that the gravity was stabilized, and it is. So I do have a sample here, and it's right at 10/12 still. So I'm not worried about this one fermenting out. It's been at 70 degrees, so I think I'm pretty confident that this Brett beer is done and hit its terminal gravity. But let's do a tasting of the regular Saccharomyces version of this coconut IPA. I have been drinking on it a little bit, not today, but Okay, let's go for a smell. I guess we go for appearance. It's a little hazy, or quite hazy. I would say it's not clear, but I don't really see. It's a really golden orange. I wouldn't say it's like hazy, like a hop haze, or a. I would say it's kind of like a hop haze or something, but it has not been really clearing up, which is fine. I don't really care. So you do get the coconut on the nose. You get a lot of fruity hop character. I mean, you do get quite a bit of coconut. I would say it's one of the most dominating characteristics. And there's a sweetness as well. A sweetness that, if you didn't know better, you might attribute to like a malt sweetness, but I think it's from the coconut. This beer did finish out at 10-10. This one did, so it's pretty. It's not no real malt sweetness there. So let's take a taste. So it's not a super bitter beer. It's at 7.5, 7% ABV, but it's not overly bitter, which I do like. Or I'd say I like the fact that it's not overly bitter. There's definitely hop bitterness there, but it's not one of these like 100 IBU beers. In fact, I think calculated it should be at 61 IBUs, so it's not overly bitter. I do really enjoy IPAs, but I do enjoy the fact that this is not just a huge bitter bomb. But you can definitely get the coconut, maybe a little bit of alcohol warmth, but I mean, you really have to pick on that. The hops are pretty. You do get some sweetness from the coconut, I think. Definitely coconut on the palate, but not overpowering. It's, I would say, kind of on the forefront of the background. A nice hop flavor, a fruity kind of tropical fruit hop flavor. But yeah, really good beer. I wish I would have the commercial version to try it next to. I think they're similar, but definitely not identical. It's been 3 months since I've had that beer. But yeah, I would say this is a pretty good beer. I'm pretty happy with it. Pretty easy drinking beer for being 7%. I usually don't brew very high gravity beers, but I will be sending out bottles. I'm going to be kegging this in a week after it gets dry hopping, and then I'll try to force carb it and bottle out some and send both beers out to a few people. I think these are just the ones that I thought of sitting here that seemed really interested. Or Dan, Arrogant Bastard Ale, he's really into like Brett and sour beers, so I'm definitely going to send him a bottle of both. Mr. Sparty, super nice dude, and he said, or he just made a comment that he'd like to try the coconut IPA, the commercial version, and I said, well, I'll send you a bottle of mine. It's, Puka and C, because he's also making the coconut version, and his is probably going to be bottling or kegging, whatever he decides to do, pretty soon. And Ryan Rashawn, who is the creator of this recipe. So there's probably a couple other. I need to go through and see who's been interested in it, and I might send them a PM for their address and stuff. But let's go ahead and try the Brett version. So I have tried it at the 10-12 gravity. This is straight from the fermenter. Again, the smell is completely different than this beer was. This one is grapefruit, like a mango, papaya, super tropical fruity. No coconut. Again, not overly bitter. I think this is going to be really, really great carbonated and cooled down. But no coconut on the taste, which is fine. These beers are 100% different from each other. I mean, the only thing similar is, I would say, the IBU level. They're both not overly bitter, but have a nice hop flavor. Again, lots of peach and grapefruit. It almost to the point that it tastes like a fruit drink. But yeah, you can go back and watch my other tasting videos. It's pretty much, I think, mellowed out. One thing that I do kind of regret doing, or not regret, but you know, IPAs are better traditionally drinking fresh, and this one is getting old. Not that old. I mean, it's like 40 days old since brew day. But I don't think I can do the same timeline. Brett just takes a little bit longer to ferment out. But yeah, other than that, I think everything's going good. I brewed up a Saison, which is my first Saison. I've been really enjoying Saisons here lately. I did rig up like a heating pad, so in my fermentation chamber it did stay at a constant 74 degrees, and it fermented like a madman for like 4 days and then just quit. So I have not taken a gravity reading on that, but that one should be pretty good too. I'll be kegging that one up in pretty shortly, I assume. Probably I'll let it sit in the fermenter about another week and keg that thing up as well. So yeah, I'm trying not to drink too much of this. One thing I do have a trouble with, if you guys have a beer gun, let me know. I've only bottled 2, maybe 3 times from my beer gun, and every time I've done it, I mean, you expect some carbonation loss, but I would say it halves the carbonation level, or at least takes a third off of it. So I'm wondering if I need to carbonate this just a little bit more than I normally would. I normally would carb an IPA at like 12 psi, and I'm carboning this in like at 16 psi. I don't know what that equates to in volumes. It's actually probably put a little bit less than I really should, but yeah, I just think that's kind of the nature of the beast with the beer gun and bottling from kegs, is you're just going to lose some carbonation. But I'm not going to start bottling unless it's, I can't imagine why I would. But alright guys, well just a quick check-in. I had had a little bit of free time, and was about to transfer the beer, the Brett version. I'm going to wash this yeast, this Brett yeast, because I will be using it again, and Brett does take a long time to grow up. The culture takes a long time to grow, so harvesting the yeast will be beneficiary, since it was a bottle dregs as well. So I can't quite get those beers. So, alright guys, cheers.